Good morning, YouTubers and Southeast Queenslanders. It's Ben here from Southeast Queensland Storms, back with you for another weather situation update for Southeast Queensland. And your situation update starts now. Good morning, Southeast Queenslanders and YouTubers. Welcome to another weather situation update for Southeast Queensland, coming to you on this very dark, gloomy and wet Wednesday, the 14th of August 2024. And a very good morning to you wherever you are, tuning into this weather situation update for Southeast Queensland. As it currently stands around 9 o'clock this morning, as you can see at the top of your video screen, we are continuing to track and monitor moderate to heavy rainfall, which is expected to continue falling across the Southeast Queensland region as we go through the remainder of today. We have a flood watch remaining in effect for coastal catchments between Shoalwater Bay, extending southwards all the way down towards Tweed Heads in New South Wales. We also have hazardous and dangerous surf conditions currently being warned for the Fraser Coast, the Sunshine Coast and the Gold Coast areas. And over the last 24 hours, we've seen rainfall exceeding 100 millimetres recorded in the Sunshine Coast hinterland areas. I'll have all the details on the current rain situation as it stands for Southeast Queensland very, very shortly. But before we begin, if you like the content you're seeing here on our channel, please click that subscribe button and also give this video a like. And if you look down the bottom of your video screen, you'll also find our social media details on the other major social media platforms, being X or Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. So if you're on those major social media platforms, make sure you give us a like or a subscribe. That way you have all the latest weather information for Southeast Queensland at your fingertips across a variety of social media platforms. All right, let's jump into your weather update for today, and let's take a look at how the current situation stands at the moment. And as expected, it's been a wet 24 hours across Southeast Queensland, and the rain will continue to fall through today before hopefully we see a clearance as we move into tomorrow. All right, let's start with the first update, and that is current radar. As you can see, we've got a lot of rain and embedded non-severe thunderstorm activity across the current Southeast Queensland radar. And we'll firstly start with a bit of a general overview of the Southeast Queensland area. So first and foremost, we're seeing areas of light to moderate rainfall currently extending through the Brisbane metropolitan area, through Brisbane's north side, all the way back up towards Caboolture, Woodford in that area. We're seeing the more intense and the more heavier rainfall, and the good news is that heavier rainfall and intense rainfall is remaining offshore. So that's some very, very good and welcome news there, and I'll explain why that's remaining offshore very, very shortly. But as you can see, these areas of yellow are indicative of where the moderate or the heaviest of the rainfall is at the moment, and as you can see, the heaviest of the rainfall is confined to the Southeast Queensland coastal areas, right through the Southeast Coast Forecast District. Again, moderate rainfall falling right through from Woodford over towards Bribie Island, down through Caboolture, through to Deception Bay, Redcliffe, through Strathpine, right through to the Brisbane CBD, and then moderate rainfall also falling from the Brisbane CBD through Brisbane south side down towards Logan, and we're also seeing some moderate rainfall along the Gold Coast there near Canungra down towards the Queensland-New South Wales border. As we go further towards the west, out towards the Darling Downs Granite Belt, we're just seeing some light rainfall there, some isolated light rainfall through Dalby, extending from Oakey down through to Toowoomba, Pittsworth, and also some light rainfall at Millmerran. As we come in towards the scenic rim here, again we've got some light patchy rainfall currently across the scenic rim near Warrelview and Boona, extending down towards Rathdowney as well. So let's do a deeper dive on the radar, and we'll firstly focus on the areas where the heaviest of the rainfall is at the moment. And as you can see, these areas of yellow and a little bit of red or dark orange starting to appear on the radar. Again, that's indicative of where the heaviest rainfall is at the moment. So we're seeing that heavier rainfall over towards Bribie Island, just down to the east of Narangba through Deception Bay, down and towards Strathpine, continuing right through to the Chermside area towards the Brisbane Airport and the Brisbane Metropolitan Airport, extending out to the Bay Islands. We're also seeing that moderate rainfall all through Brisbane's south side, extending down to Logan. Again, south of Canungra down towards Miami on the Gold Coast is also seeing some moderate rainfall, and also in Coomera as well. So that's where the best of the rainfall is at the moment. Now, what we're seeing with the overall rain band, and if I just bring it back, the overall rain band, we're going to see it contract and continue to move towards the south and the southeast as we progress through the remainder of today. Now, the good news is, as I said, this heaviest or the most intense rainfall that we're currently seeing on the radar is most likely to remain offshore today, and that's due to an easterly and northeasterly convergence remaining offshore, which is good news. And that means the heavy and intense rainfall also remains offshore. Now, that's due to the centre of low pressure, which is expected to develop up around the Fraser Coast. And I'll bring it up on the forecast mapping for you here. You can see that easterly and northerly convergence. So here's the flow coming in from the east. We've got that northerly flow, the squeeze coming on at this meeting point here, or this convergence zone is where it's meeting. But at the moment, it's keeping that heavier rainfall all offshore. So that northerly easterly flow converging in here, being squeezed. But the good news is, because it's offshore, it's also keeping the heavier of the rainfall also offshore. The centre of low pressure, again, expected just to be offshore near the Fraser Coast. And as you can see it just here, the centre of low pressure expected to be off the centre of the Fraser Coast. Again, meaning areas to the south and the southeast is where the rainfall will be as we go through today. And some of that rainfall is to be moderate and could be some burst of heavy rainfall. But again, as I said, the good news is the heavier of the rainfall remaining offshore at the moment, which is fantastic to see because we don't want any flooding issues across southeast Queensland. All right, let's take a look at the forecast radar. How's the rest of the day expected to pan out? Well, as we can see again, pretty much as we go through this morning, areas of widespread rainfall across southeast Queensland, in particular along the southeast Queensland coastal areas, with that rainfall extending further inland. And if we were to toggle the current radar onto the screen, again, you can see the Access Model Forecast radar. Pretty much in line with what the current radar is. We take the radar off. So this is the Bureau of Meteorology's Access C forecast model, and again you can see they're forecasting the heavier of the rainfall along the southeast Queensland coastal areas, right through from the sunny coast down through Brisbane's Bayside towards the Goldie. And if I turn on the radar, we can see it's pretty much accurate at the moment. As we go through the remainder of today, as I said, the overall rain is expected to continue to track towards the south-southeast. And as we can see, as we go through the remainder of today, the rain activity beginning to weaken before we move into early tomorrow morning, where we see a clearance of rain from southeast Queensland. But again, the areas of focus are all along these southeast Queensland coastal areas, right from the sunny coast down through Brisbane, all the way to the Gold Coast for the rainfall as it moves to the south-southeast through the remainder of today. And if we take a look at the rainfall forecast, this is looking at over the next 12 hours, again on Met Centre Weather Watch, taking a look at where models are predicting the best of the rainfall to be. And again, as you can see, it's all in that southeast Queensland coastal area, or the southeast coast forecast district, right from the sunny coast all the way down through Brisbane's Bayside to the Gold Coast, with the focus of some potential heavier falls through the Gold Coast hinterland. But unfortunately, the further to the west you go, as you can see, the rainfall eases right back. So Darling Downs, Granite Belt over the next 12 hours, light rainfall expected across that region. The southeast coast region in particular, those coastal areas from the sunny coast all the way down to the Gold Coast, that is where the best of the rainfall is expected to be as we go through the next 12 hours or so. All right, let's take a look at current watches and warnings. As we said, we do have a flood watch currently in effect. That's currently for coastal and adjacent catchments through the Shoalwater Bay area right down towards Tweed Heads. We also has coastal hazardous warning for areas in the Fraser and the Sunshine Coast, and we have a hazardous surf warning also in effect for the Fraser, Sunshine and Gold Coast areas as well. Firstly, taking a look at the hazardous surf warning. As the Bureau recommends, surf and swell conditions are expected to be hazardous for coastal activities such as rock fishing, boating and swimming in the Fraser, Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast water areas through today. And if we take a look at the coastal hazard warning, as we can see, it extends from the Fraser Coast right down through to the Sunshine Coast, and the Bureau talks about damaging surf for the Fraser and Sunshine Coast areas. Damaging surf conditions may lead to beach erosion and are occurring during the warning area today. Locations which may be affected include east-facing beaches around the Fraser, Rainbow Beach, Noosa Heads and Maroochydore areas. And as we said, our flood watch remains in effect for coastal catchments from Shoalwater Bay down towards Tweed Heads. And moderate to locally heavy rainfall is possible over the flood watch area for the remainder of today before easing back as we go through tomorrow. Localised river and creek level rises and flash flooding are likely within the areas of the heaviest rainfall, with isolated minor to moderate riverine flooding possible. Okay, and as you can see, there's a variety of rivers and creeks included in that flood watch area. Okay, so let's move on. We'll take a look at some rainfall totals now. So 24-hour rainfall totals up till this morning. And we firstly, as I said, and we reported, we're seeing rainfall exceeding 100 millimetres exceeded in the Sunshine Coast hinterland. That's reflected by those red dots you see on your screen. Rainfall also exceeding 50 millimetres recorded across the Sunshine Coast area up towards Noosa, and then the further south that we go, we can see rainfall exceeding 25 millimetres in the light green dots through a majority of the Brisbane north side, the Brisbane metro and the Brisbane south side areas, and also rainfall exceeding 25 and over 50 millimetres recorded through the Gold Coast hinterland and Gold Coast areas as well. Rainfall exceeding 25 millimetres recorded out near Toowoomba, out on the Darling Downs as well. So as you can see, but the good news is that a majority of southeast Queensland has seen some sort of rainfall over the past 24 hours. And again, some areas seeing higher rainfall than others. And if we take a look at this Sunshine Coast area here, we can see rainfall here at West Woombye of 102 millimetres, Mapleton 135 millimetres, the Poona Dam coming in with 100 millimetres, Coolalabin Dam with 116 millimetres, and then we had Mullaney coming in with 133 millimetres. Cromanhurst coming in with 108, the Baroon boat ramp saw the heaviest of the rainfall at 144 millimetres, and Obi Lookout coming in with 110 millimetres, and the Maroochy intake weir with 119 millimetres. So rainfall exceeding 100 mils, all recorded in the Sunshine Coast hinterland over the last 24 hours. And if we take a look at your current river conditions for southeast Queensland, the good news is that all rivers and creeks in the southeast Queensland area are below flood levels, and there is no minor, moderate or major flooding occurring. The only major flooding that is currently on the river conditions is up just to the north of Gayndah there, where we see the Coringa. It's a major flood, but it is steady. It's not rising. It's steady there. Its current river height there at 7.5 metres, which exceeds the major flood height of 7 metres, but that's the only major flooding going on at the moment up to the north of Gayndah, but for a majority of the southeast Queensland region, there's no flooding to talk about. If we get into your current road conditions, we do currently see multiple reports of flash flooding. We've currently got flash flooding occurring through the Narangba area at Maroona Road. We've also got flash flooding at Bess Road and Old North Road out there at Roxburgh. Flash flooding at Lees Crossing Road at Daybra. Flash flooding at Glover Road at Armstrong Creek. We've also got flash flooding at Mott Street, Strathpine. But in terms of the southeast Queensland region, that is quite minimal flash flooding reports. Other road conditions on the road, we're seeing some traffic congestion on the Sunshine Coast motorway down through Sippy Downs and Mooloolaba. We're also seeing traffic congestion on the Pacific motorway between Cooma and Helensvale. We're also seeing congestion on the Sunshine Coast motorway at Mountain Creek, Sippy Downs. We have hazardous driving conditions currently on the Bruce Highway through Deception Bay. And as you can see, quite a few hazards being reported on our road network through this morning. So if you are driving on the roads today, please take care, drive to the conditions, turn your headlights on, and please slow down, just drive to the conditions. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for our situation update. As expected, the rain will continue to fall as we go through the remainder of today before seeing a clearance as we go into tomorrow. Again, the focus is on the southeast coastal area all the way from the sunny coast down to Brisbane, all the way to the Gold Coast. So hopefully this update's giving you the information that you need, and pretty much that'll be the last update on this particular system here on our channel. And as always, we are looking forward to storm season, where I'm sure we'll have plenty more updates for you. But with that said, thank you very much for watching. Please take care on the roads, please stay safe, and I will see you on our next video. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.